Welcome back, everybody. It's been 2.5 years since my last video, and I figured it was time for an update. I know both of my subscribers have been checking in on a weekly basis for my next video. We'll wait no longer. Look, I realize it's been a while. I'm not monetized. The intent of these videos is to be informative, not so much entertaining. If I wanted to be entertaining, I'd put on some cheesy huge smile and say, "Hey everybody! Welcome back to the channel!" But that's not the purpose. I'm just here to be as informative as I can, let you know how I've done things in my game room, and maybe give you guys some ideas on how to set up yours to give you, in my opinion, one of the best playing experiences you can get, both visually and from an audio standpoint as well. I'm not an audiophile, but I do like a good picture and I like a nice little sound system. So that's why I've gone the route I have. Just to kind of quickly recap, everything you see in front of you is connected to this TV via HDMI, and that includes these consoles over here. Quick overview of the room here. Games, boxes, consoles, more games and handhelds, controllers, etc. Okay. So why HDMI? Just to quickly recap, if you didn't see my other video, it's cost, simplicity, future-proofing. RGB can be expensive if you start talking about expensive RGB mod kits, some very expensive cables that you may have to buy if you can't make them yourself, and also switches when you're talking about SCART or component switch boxes. Next is simplicity. I like having just one cable plugged into my receiver there, and I'm ready to rock. Like Ron Popeil taught us with the food dehydrator, we just want to set it and forget it. So to keep things simple, in my previous video, I kind of talked about how scalers can be complicated. Each console essentially needs its own settings. I do realize once you get that all set up, you can do settings setups for it where you can quickly switch between the presets on the scaler, but I didn't want to do that, and at the time they were expensive. Now they've gotten a lot cheaper. I think when I shot this video 2.5 years ago, the OSSC was selling for about $200. You can get that thing for less than $100 now. So that's a fantastic deal. But again, for simplicity purposes, I'd rather have HDMI than a scaler that I have to change settings on. At the time, it might have sounded like I was sort of, talking down about scalers. And in a way I was, just because of this, I didn't want to have to fiddle with different settings every time. But I do have a scaler now, so yeah, what does that make me? Okay, it's a pretty simple scaler, and it's come out in the last 2.5 years. So much has changed in the last 2.5 years. There are so many more HDMI options now than there were then. Things like Dreamcast HDMI, original Xbox HDMI, new, cheaper, simpler scalers, Dreamcast and PlayStation 1 HDMIs. So lots of different things out there now. And again, hopefully you get some information out of this. The intent for this is not to be a tutorial. I'm not going to show you how to do the mods. I'm not going to show you how to connect them all to your system. I'm just going to kind of talk through what I've done to these consoles in order to make the setup that I have right now. And if you have more questions about that, I can ask me in the comments, and I'll go ahead and give you the best answer I possibly can. So hey, lots has changed, not only in the retro community, but in this room as well. And a lot of things have stayed the same. So first things first, still got the orange wall. Yeah, I couldn't, I don't really want to take all this stuff off the wall in order to have to repaint it, but that's still here for now. Probably going to stay that way. Still using the exact same TV. 2015. I think the last video didn't tell you what the model was, but it's an LG OLED 55 EF 9500. So it's 2015 OLED. And the naming convention is a little before they went to their current, CBE naming convention. So it's kind of pre all of that. But it's still 4K HDR, still a great TV. I still love this thing. I wish it had all the smart TV, amenities that you can get nowadays. It does have some of that, but it's extremely limited. Like, it has its own operating system. It doesn't have its, a simple operating system, Android based or anything like that. It's its own proprietary thing. And it'll probably not get supported, around the corner, and then I'll just kind of be screwed. But for now, it still puts out a great picture. Same TV. Still using the exact same Denon receiver. So this thing still accepts and passes through 480i all the way through 4K HDR. Still going strong. Like I said, every single one of these consoles that I'm about to show you today is connected through this receiver. No reason to change it. I still like the sound it puts out. Like I said, not an audiophile, and it was fairly cheap at the time. It seems to be able to handle signals, and that's the most important thing to me. A new addition is this 16-port HDMI switch. I haven't seen a whole lot of people with these in their setups yet, and I honestly don't know a lot about it, other than the fact that I bought it off of either Alibaba or AliExpress about a year ago, maybe a little more than a year ago. It accepts a whole bunch of inputs. It's only good up to 1080p, unfortunately. I don't know if there's new solutions out there that have 4K capability or not. But this one is up to 1080p. That works for me. My only two consoles that are outputting 4K right now are the PS5 and the Xbox One X. And all the rest are, like I said, either 480i to 1080p, so it all works for me. Since I already mentioned it, one big change fairly recently is the addition of the PS5. Shout outs to the wife. Picked this up for me for my anniversary. What was here before was the launch PS3. So it's still here. It's just gone back to its box up on the shelf. Honestly, I'd love to keep using this thing, but I feel like it's just a ticking time bomb. I mean, I replaced the thermal paste on it, and I feel like I've done everything I can as far as preventive maintenance wise, but continuing to use this thing for PS1, PS2, PS3 games is just asking for trouble. So I've got another setup that I'll show you here as we go over it. Next to the PS5, we got the PSVR. Again, another gift from the wife about 2 years ago for Christmas. I love VR, and I'm super excited that PlayStation is going to be coming out with another PSVR for its current generation of consoles. So looking forward to that. The 6-year-old loves it too. Next to the receiver, still got the Macintosh Laserdisc player. It still kicks ass. Google that. And we've added a turntable because, yeah, I kind of got on the whole video game vinyl kick there for a little while because there was just some soundtracks that I felt like I just had to have. And I picked up some other records at thrift stores and things of that nature on the way. So it sounds good. It wasn't too expensive. I like it. Okay. Back to this HDMI switch. I do not know if this thing adds lag. I don't know if the Denon receiver adds lag. I've seen other, bigger name, retro YouTubers that are using this Denon receiver, so I assume that means it's low lag, or maybe even no lag. That's why they're using it. I don't know. I just bought it because it was fairly cheap and it seems to handle all my signals. As far as the switch goes, again, I don't have a time sleuth. I don't have the capability to measure lag. I have no idea if this thing is adding lag or not. If you guys know, please let me know. I don't think it's adding lag because I can definitely tell on my television. If I'm not in game mode, I can definitely tell there's huge amounts of lag. So I would assume that when I'm plugging in these different components, as I plug them in, if I was picking up lag along the way and adding them to the setup, that I would notice, and I have not noticed so far. So if you guys know otherwise, please just let me know. Put it in the comments below. Maybe you know something that I don't, but I haven't. But like I said, I know almost nothing about this HDMI switch, other than it does what I need it to do. I haven't seen a lot of information out there about it, or from other YouTubers. So let me know what you think. All right, on to the show. So where are we? I'm going to go through each of these consoles, talk to you about where we're at with the current state of modification on them. Talk about resolutions. Yeah. I'm going to do my best to show you the resolution as I bring up these consoles and show some, I'm not going to show game footage, but I'm going to show like it playing the game. And I'm not going to bring up the in-game menus for the HDMI mods, just because that would require me to hook up a controller, and I really don't want to have controllers hooked up to all these and then have to be fiddling around with the controller while I'm talking to you guys and trying to use this camera here to record. So you just kind of have to take my word for it that it is the mod that I'm saying it is, and that the resolutions that I'm showing you on the TV are what they say they are. So let's just start from the beginning again. First off, the NES. I have done absolutely nothing to this console since my last video. It still has the high def NES kit. Still has the blue LED. I rebuilt the power supply on it, and that's about it. Still looks great, plays great. Yeah, let's just fire it up. I hope the backlight on the TV isn't too bright. It's kind of washing out the picture a little bit. And you can see here, it's it was outputting 1080p on the start, and then it switched to 720p during this play reel here. We're going to keep the volume muted just so we don't get any content strikes. I'm sure they're searching for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles soundtrack all the time. Yeah. So you may have noticed I didn't have to hit anything on this HDMI switch. One of the things I love about HDMI switches is that it auto switches based on the last signal source that it receives. So as I move through these consoles, it'll just automatically switch to the console that I've got turned on. That was huge for me. Not having to manually switch between consoles was huge. The number of inputs for this thing is huge. I know that there are automatic switchers for your analog signal based systems like RGB and components, but the main ones that people know, the G-SCART switch and the G-Comp switch, are extremely expensive, and you get half as many inputs. So just for example, this HDMI switch was half the cost of a G-SCART switch or G-Comp switch, and I've got twice as many inputs. So I would need 2 switches to match the number of inputs, and it would be 4 times as much money. So like I said, cost is a factor, and I'm cheap. All right, let's move on. Okay. Almost nothing has changed here either. Still rocking the Super NT. Not going to turn that on. There's tons of YouTube videos about the Super NT still going strong. Below that is a Super Nintendo. This used to be my cousin's Super Nintendo, and it was in really good shape. So I decided I kind of just want to put it on display. It's not connected or anything like that. I guess if I ever wanted to use it, I would probably hook up a Rad 2X to it, which takes RGB signal and converts that into HDMI and does line doubling similar to a RetroTink. So you'll output 480p via HDMI. I'm not going to turn that one on. You guys already know all about the Super NT. Still works great. The only thing I can say is that this controller, this 8-bit DOE matching controller that they sold with it, I found the D-pad on this was kind of crap. The ball underneath the D-pad is too small or something. So you end up getting diagonal moves when you're pushing sideways sometimes, things of that nature, or getting sideways moves when you're pushing up. So I replaced that with an OEM D-pad. It drops right in, so it fits perfectly, and it fixes that problem. So I don't know if that has been fixed by 8-bit DOE over the last couple of years or not, but that was my solution. It worked for me. I heard of other people doing the exact same thing. So, okay, on to the next one. Nintendo 64. We got the blue N64. This has I recapped the power supply, and it has the UltraHDMI V2, which just came out earlier this year after almost a year and a half, 2 years of development, and no UltraHDMIs being on the market for well over a year. This finally came out, and that's kind of the reason why I want to shoot this video, is because a lot of things have come out within the last just few weeks, and that I've been able to get my hands on and install and play around with, and I want to kind of let you guys know what's out there right now for you. So Yeah, this has got the Ultra HDMI kit. I've got a 3D printed AV port in the back to accommodate for the HDMI, the mini HDMI jack. It's got a blue LED as well. And yeah, it's been working great. I just installed this last week. Again, outputting 1080p. Again, fantastic picture on this OLED. Okay, up next, Gamecube. Okay, not much has changed on this Gamecube either. You're probably asking yourself, well, what has changed? We're gonna get to that. A lot has actually changed. I did add the Silent Fan mod to this, so it's got the 3D printed fan shroud to accommodate for the different size fan. This also has a Xeno chip, and this has the Pluto IIx internal HDMI Gamecube mod. It runs GC video, just like all the other Gamecube HDMI solutions out there. They all run GC video. It's the same software. Essentially, it's open source. Except instead of this being a plug-and-play solution, it's internally modified. And the main reason why I like that is because I just like to do mods, as you can tell. And this allows you to get into the in-game menu with the controller without having to use a programmable IR remote. So I thought that was a nice feature. Beneath it, it also has a Game Boy player. So that plays your Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, and Game Boy games. And again, it plays it all through the HDMI that's installed into the GameCube. So let's go ahead and fire this guy up. We're going to hold B to put it into progressive scan. Okay, now it's going to ask us if we want to play in progressive scan. We do. You might have noticed in the upper right hand corner it said it was in 480i P60, so 60 frames. Again, love playing this thing on this monitor on a modern display. Sorry for the no sound again, guys. I just don't want to deal with our overlord Nintendo and their copyright strikes. Okay, on to the next one. We're not going to talk too much about these controllers, or consoles rather, that already put 1080p output 1080p. I just want to give some shout outs to the dirty Facebook Marketplace seller who sold me this Wii U, who conveniently lost the power adapter for the tablets so that I wouldn't be able to power it up and see that he'd broken the touch display when I came to purchase it from him. And then not only did he break the touch screen, he opened it up and tore out the where the digitizer cable connects to the motherboard. So yeah, I had to replace the not only the digitizer but also the connector on the motherboard. But it all works now, and I do like this thing. It's cool. You may remember a black Wii U being here before. This one's just a little bit more unique, and I thought it looked cool, so went ahead and added it to the lineup. Nintendo Switch, shout outs to the missus again. Picked this up for me, birthday a couple years ago. Switch is awesome. Okay, up next, we still have, if you can see it, oh, maybe you can't see it. There it is, the Neo Geo X. Again, still working perfectly. Haven't had to do anything to it. Still going strong. Seems like the Neo Geo X isn't so hated anymore. Seems like some people kind of like it. Just saying, even though it's only 720p. And the actual home screen on it is only like 480, so it looks pretty bad. But anyway, the game's still playing 720p. They look great. Down to the Dreamcast. Oh, lots have changed here. So you may be able to tell right off the bat, it's got a new clear shell on it. It also has a Noctua Silent Fan mod as well with the 3D printed fan shroud. That's in orange. You can kind of see the new latch and fan shroud through the shell, the clear shell, which is kind of cool. I also did the replaceable battery holder on it, and this has the Dreamcast HDMI, so DC HDMI. That's outputting 1080p. Love this thing. Love this mod. Big shout outs to Citrus Dan 3000 and Black Dog Technologies for this mod. Love it to death. It's also got a Wi-Fi connectivity, so if there's firmware updates, it'll automatically update them over the Wi-Fi. So love this mod. Can't recommend it enough. Let's fire it up. And again, we're auto switching. Yeah, wasn't sure if it was going to ask for that or not, so. Okay. Sorry if anybody's going to get any epileptic seizures from this video. .1080p as promised. I didn't mention it before, but as you may already know, on the Gamecube, the HDMI output is only outputting whatever the game is outputting itself. It's just, it's not upscaling. It's just converting it to an HDMI signal. So what you saw was in 480p, and 480i games will display in 480i. The DC HDMI is a little different. It's actually upscaling the picture. Okay. On to the next one. Okay, original Xbox. Well, again, fairly recent mod on this one. This just came out, I want to say, well, it came out for all Xboxes up to the 1.6 and 1.6b revisions early last year. The HDMI mod for the 1.6 and 1.6b revisions just came out last month. This is a 1.6b. I've been waiting on this kit for 6 months now. This is the MakeMhz XboxHD modification. One of the more difficult mods I've ever done. It's kind of half hardware mod, half software mod. So this has obviously the MakeMhz kit, but it also has an Aladdin XT mod chip. And also, in order to do the modification, you have to make a kernel patch to the BIOS. So if you're not already comfortable with doing things like FTPing, loading custom firmware, and flashing the BIOS on your Xbox, you're going to have a pretty steep learning curve on doing this mod. But at the end of the day, it's kind of worth it. So this is similar to GC Video in that it's translating the digital signal that the system's outputting into onto an HDMI cable. So it's direct digital to digital, and it's maintaining the same resolution that it would normally output through components. So 480i all the way through 1080i. But since it's digital to digital, it really does look very clear. Super happy with it. I think I had a pound cable on here, which I'm fine with the pound cable in my experience with a 1.6B revision. It looked good, but I'd also replaced all the 3300 megafarad, microfarad capacitors on the Xbox to give me a nice clean power signal. And I understand that the pound cable was susceptible to some background power noise, which was giving people some problems with the resolutions. But I wasn't having that problem. I was pretty happy with the pound cable, but when this mod came along, I decided I just wanted to give it a shot. And so here we go. Okay, we're bypassing all the dashboard. It's going to boot directly to the game that I have loaded. I specifically picked this game because it's a 480i only game. And I just wanted to kind of show you how good a 480i only game can look through this digital to digital solution on the OG Xbox. I hope this is kind of coming through on the video. But yeah, there's no interference. It looks great. It sounds great because you're tapping into the SPDIF sound system of the OG Xbox. And it's all going through the HDMI cable. Okay. Okay, we've changed our Xbox 360. Again, shout out to the missus, where we've upgraded to a E model. It's the blue E model. Sometimes it's called the Halo Edition, but it's really not a Halo Edition from what I can tell. It was packaged with the Halo game, but I don't think it's really considered a Halo Edition. Anyway, I just mentioned casually to the wife that I thought they were kind of cool, and you know, the next Christmas, one was under the tree for me. So, thanks, babe. You rock. Next to that, Xbox One X Scorpio Edition. Another Christmas gift from the wife. I did the modification, hook up a connect to it without using their adapter cable because those got expensive and I didn't have one, but there is a way to make modifications to it in order to use that cable. Essentially, you're using a USB-A type cable and wiring it directly into the connect. Anyway, there's YouTube videos on about that online. The PS4 Pro has become redundant, so it's up there with its brother, the PS3. Another fantastic pickup by the wife. She found this at a thrift store in its original box for like 25 bucks. So much rather use this as my primary PS3 player. The Super Slim's a lot more stable and reliable. So again, shout outs to the missus. Okay. So those are all the updates for the main system. Let's move over here. Last time I shot this video with you guys, there was a CRT monitor here, and I was running these consoles into a CRT monitor. But since then, I've gotten on the scaler wagon. I know, he badmouthed scalers, and now he is using a scaler. So what's happening is the RetroTink 2X came out, and this is a 240p to 480p line doubler. It's super simple. There's no settings for it. You just plug in your system, be it composite, S-video, or component, and it converts it into 480p over HDMI. So all of these consoles are plugged into a RetroTink 2X. And there's only one of them because I'm also using this Cyclone component switch. So all these systems are outputting YPbPr over component to the switch box, to the RetroTink 2X, to the 16-port HDMI switch, and up to the TV. So let's walk through the modifications on these guys. So here's the Pioneer LaserActive. I know I talked about this last time. Really haven't done anything to this thing either. It's been pretty reliable, to tell you the truth. I have done the component video mod to this, so it's outputting 240p. I currently have installed the TurboGrafx 16 pack. We also have the PC Engine and Genesis packs over here. So this will play TurboGrafx 16, PC Engine hue cards. It'll play TurboGrafx 16 CD, Super CD, arcade, CD games. It'll also play Sega Genesis cartridges as well as Sega CD games. So, and that's all outputted via components to the switch box. So let's switch our switch box on, flip it over to LaserActive, and let's turn it on. And as promised, we're outputting 480p. Okay, on to the next one. Up next I have this is a PAL TurboGrafx 16. It's the gray console with the red and blue emblem on it. This has been modified from PAL to NTSC U and from 50 to 60 megahertz. I can't take credit for that modification. Shout outs to the Steve on that one. I sent him the console. He did the mod. Man's a genius, and he knows everything there is to know about TurboGrafx 16. I did do the component video mod on it. So it's outputting by this cable here through components to our switch box. Let's hop over to TurboGrafx. Let's turn it on. See what we got. Now with these analog to digital solutions, you're going to get a little bit of noise sometimes over the analog cables. So it's not a digital to digital solution, it's an analog to digital solution. So sometimes you can pick up that noise, and that you're seeing a little bit of that on the screen now with a little bit of a band down the middle. On a CRT, you could never see this. As promised, 480p. But once gameplay is started, you never notice it. And it looks pretty great. Nice and sharp. Okay, up next. The PC Engine Super CD-ROM. So, both the Coregrafx II and the Super CD-ROM attachment have been recapped. The Coregrafx II has an RGB mod, which is going to an HD